Thanks for sharing that.
The limiting beliefs, the limits that that belief that she had placed on her life, the things she had been unwilling to try because of those, are no longer issues for her. And that's why I do this training. Because what would you do if you were no longer afraid? Ladies, what problem in the world would you solve if you were no longer afraid? If you were not afraid of being critiqued or judged, what would you do? So I wrote a very small article about this that is in the Greater Sarasota Coaches Alliance newsletter that says get a really, really big piece of paper, sit somewhere really quiet, and answer that question. You all have your notebooks. Answer the question. What would I do if I was not afraid of other people's opinions? If I was not afraid of being judged, critiqued, told I was wrong? What would I do? Learn about yourself. You will reconnect with your dreams and your goals by going through this one exercise. So now we get to go into one of my favorite things to do. We're going to do something called Mastering the Art of an Elevator Pitch. Because the point of this was to dial down the drama and the distraction and turn up the profits. So far we've been dialing down the drama, we've been dialing down the distractions, we've talked about frameworks, we've talked about decision making. Now we're going to talk about marketing. This is the other piece that I promised to work with you. So I'm going to pass out these cards, and you guys can share them if you need to. We'll just pass them down. Pass them on down. Keep one at this end. Keep one for you and Carolyn to share, Martha. Martha, keep one. Okay, so there are 4 words on here. These are to give you cues for the 4 questions I'm going to walk you through. Get a fresh piece of paper, and we're going to have some fun with this. Are you ready? This is how an effective elevator pitch is. Now, first, what's an elevator pitch? An elevator pitch is 20 seconds or less. It is the answer to the question, as you're in an elevator with a stranger, what do you do? It is very brief. Done right, the other person's going to want to know more. They're going to stay in the elevator with you. Okay, that's the goal of an elevator pitch, is to be compelling. And it's very brief. So a good elevator pitch has 4 parts to it. The first one is, who do you work with? Who, and ladies, think about this because I'm going to give you a definition. Who is your best client? And we've actually got a couple of minutes. Yeah, give me a holler. What's 1 or 2 characteristics of your best client? How do you define your best client? Who's your best client?
Someone with breasts.
Well, yeah, okay, all right. So Nancy the bra lady says her best client has a certain physiology. Now, I would argue the point that 100% of her clients have a certain physiology, okay? But who's your best client? I have one definition of my best client. Are you ready? My best client is the one who pays me. Okay? So my demographic looks like this. My best client is someone who is willing to invest in themselves. So what is your best client willing to do? Okay? So what is your best client? And you can define them. For some people, your best client is going to be over a certain age, is going to have a certain kind of insurance, is going to have a certain issue that you can solve. You know, I mean, if you're a web developer, then your best client is somebody who either has or needs a website. I mean, granted, but that's all your clients are that. Out of that group, who's your best?
Someone who actually knows what they want.
There we go. So your best client is somebody who knows what they want. What's the easiest way to get somebody to be your best client? Help them figure out what they don't want. All right? If they're not sure what they want, take them to what they don't want. You can work a little bit with helping people become a better client. So, best client. Who's my best client? Just a few characteristics. Remember, this is only going to be for a very short conversation you're going to have. The second piece, what do they struggle with? This is not about what do they want. This is about what do they struggle with. What is their 3 a.m.? What keeps them up at night, wakes them up at night, gets them up early in the morning, unhappy with life? What problem do they bring to you? Sometimes your best client might be the person who doesn't know what they want. But here's the deal, and this is where it's got to hook together, so we're going to come back to it. What do you offer them to solve their problem? What is your product or service that they pay you money for? I don't want to know what you do for free. What is the product or service that they pay you money for? Those are 3 things. Who do I work with? What do they struggle with? What is their problem? What do I offer them? And the last piece, what is the benefit of working with you? What is the benefit of working with you? Your client, they look like this. All my clients wear blue dresses. They struggle with the fact they really want to wear red dresses. They come to me because I have a red dress shop, and when they leave, they're wearing a red dress and they're completely happy and confident. Okay. I mean, this is how the pattern works. When I'm actually talking to someone and they say, what do you do? I work with small business owners and entrepreneurs who struggle with distraction and drama. I offer customized training and coaching programs, and when working with me, my clients end up with clarity, focus, effective decision making, and more money. That's the pattern. I'm going to work, we're going to do this as a group, and we're going to help each other with this for anybody who's willing to share their answers. So if you'd like some help with it, if it was a struggle, if it was a challenge, or if you're not getting the results that you want when you are out networking, we're going to work with this. So hang on to these for just a second, because this is only one piece of the networking puzzle. It's not the only piece. Second piece, am I talking to the right people? When you go out to a networking event and you walk in the room, do you know in advance who's going to be there? Is your target market in the room? Think about this from a strategic point of view. If I know that my best client is a 20-year-old, am I going to go to Clearwater? Probably not, okay? Because there's not very many 20-year-olds gathering in groups up there. Networking is a strategic activity. It is not a random number. It is not a numbers game. So if you are involved in a business that goes alongside other businesses, whether it comes under the label of network marketing, direct selling, or multi-level marketing, it doesn't matter. If you are involved in one of the businesses that has a wonderful product or service, and there are a bunch of people that are engaged with this, and they do training, and they talk to you about the fact that welcome the no, because you're going to go through 99 no's before you get to a yes. When you go to a networking event, collect cards, follow up with everybody. If you want a recipe for depression and disaster financially, I cannot think of a faster way to get there. Be strategic. What does strategy look like? Who's my target market? So somebody tell me, who's your target market? Okay?
One would be moms. One of them would be moms looking for meals, easy to prepare meals.
Okay, so your best customer is a mom who is struggling with creating meals for her family easily that taste good. Yeah. So your best market is moms who struggle to create exciting, interesting meals for their families, right? Where do moms gather?
At the mom networks.
At moms networks, okay.
And at soccer games.
And at soccer games. All right, so these are the places that she would network. Is it going to be a good use of your money, or ladies, it's going to be a good use of your money to join a tennis club? Probably not a lot of moms hanging out at the tennis club. There may be some grandmoms, but moms are usually too busy for that kind of activity. So thinking about who your target market is, where are they and where are they not? You want to find them in groups. Okay? You want to find them in groups. So think about who your target market is. Where can you find them in groups? If they don't gather in groups naturally, how can you create a group for them? One of the people that I have spoken with is the man who founded the Society of Emotional Intelligence. He tried to create a group. So he was trying to gather, he had a meetup group, he was trying to gather people who were interested in emotional intelligence in one place to have interesting conversations. Nobody was showing up. So I took his marketing plan and flipped it. What do people who are emotionally intelligent, what do they like to do? Are there any places that you can figure out that they would naturally gather? So, and of course we found a few. People who are emotionally intelligent are also interested in other types of personal development, because emotional intelligence is a personal development tool. So figure out where your target market is, where they gather with other people like them. Who's your best customer and who is their best friend, and what do they do when they're together? Okay, so this is strategic networking. There's a lot of networking available, but when we take 3 steps back, we would do it differently. If I'm going to go to a networking group, I will ask the person who invited me, who's the most influential person in the group? Who knows everybody? Who knows what's going on? And I will ask for an introduction to that person. Why? Because they're going to be the shortest path to the people who can actually use my goods or services. Because my target market is not demographically defined, okay? So sometimes they can be moms, age groups, women, men, this age, this much money. Mine is more defined by characteristics. My target market, who are my best clients? People who are willing to invest in personal development. People who are willing to take a risk, because it is a very different kind of approach to making changes. The SIP program, nobody's heard of it, so these people have to be willing to take a risk. People who are willing to be uncomfortable while they master the skills that are in the stress intervention technique. It's a learning curve. If they're not willing or able to be uncomfortable, then they're not my target market. And the last one for me is they have to be willing to change. Everybody wants to change. Most people are not willing to take the steps to change. So when I'm looking for my target market, I'm looking for a group of people that have those 4 characteristics. Now, the 3 of those characteristics, willing to change, willing to take a risk, and willing to be uncomfortable, those 3 characteristics are the definition of an entrepreneur. Because if an entrepreneur is not willing to be uncomfortable, they're going to have a job. They're not going to own a business. If they weren't willing to take a risk, they'd have a job. So an entrepreneur. But that 4th one is how I narrowed my target market. And by the way, the narrower you can make it, the more focused you can make it, the easier your life will be. If you don't want to have to go through 99 no's to get to a yes, narrow your market. The last one, willing to invest in themselves for personal development. That was the defining one for me, because all of a sudden I'm not working with every small business owner out there. I am not working with a huge section. Okay? Do I have male clients? Yes. Do I market to men? Nope. Why? Because $8 out of every 10 that is spent on personal development is spent by women. Why would I spend my time, talent, and treasure marketing to men? The 80-20 rule can work for you if you understand it. I could spend 80% of my time, talent, and treasure going after that 20% of the market because men are perceived to be more powerful and more influential in this country. But guess what? I can spend 20% of my money and time and talent and talk to my 80% market. It's really easy. Where do professional women gather? Well, there's a lot of places around here. I didn't have to look very hard. The hard part was figuring this out. Okay, so that's why I share this with people. Whenever possible, any group that wants me to come in and do Mastering the Art of the Elevator Pitch, give them my name and number. Very, very happy to help business people figure this out. It is not rocket science, but it is like getting on a rocket ship when you start applying it to your business. Because all of a sudden, you're investing your time rather than spending your time. So this is Mastering the Art of the Elevator Pitch. Who's your target market? What do they struggle with? What's your product or service? And what is the benefit